Assalamu Allah, brother minister.
Allah salam, sir. Peace.
Would you please tell us what Messenger Elijah Muhammad teaches about dinosaurs?
Yes, sir. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teachings covers everything in the field of the sciences of life, and this includes dinosaurs. There's a lot of misinformation, misinterpretation, mistranslation, mistransliteration about dinosaurs. For the sake of clarity in time and space, let me point out that the messenger does not believe in the Caucasians' theory of dinosaurs. And by that, we mean this. They basically teach that there's this Jurassic period. And Hollywood showed these movies of the dinosaurs, and they basically running around doing that thing. Then as children, we seen like the Flintstones, and you had Caucasians living with Dino, the dinosaur, or people think that they were the cavemen living with the dinosaurs. Then you have people that take the devil's theories and transform the theory into actual facts. But in 1972, in his Theology of Time series, the messenger explained to us that a theory may or may not be true. He teaches us that we have to stop listening to guesses. You know, he teaches us that in Islam, everything is mathematics. It's based on cause and effect, actions and reactions. And he explained to us in the Theology of Time, when they asked him about animals and the origin of animals, he explained that Allah taught him ever since we had the planet, we had animals right here on it. Now, if we in 2017 were to look back in hindsight and try to analyze what animals do we have on the face of the planet Earth, there are too many species on the face of the planet Earth for us to count. There are a whole lot of animals on this planet. And the nature of this planet, the nature of life itself is such that animals come and animals go. By that we mean that we have animals that are on Earth today that will not be on Earth tomorrow. We have species on Earth that scientists try their best to preserve because they know that those particular creatures, for different reasons, man-made or through natural disasters or through nature, are becoming extinct. So there are animals that we can find fossils of that are no longer here. But that's a big jump from going inside a museum and saying 64 million years ago, this particular creature roamed on the earth before man. Because we in the Nation of Islam consider the black man to be the original man. And as the original man, we look at our ancestors. We look at the ancient civilizations. And we look at what did they teach us. And it's according to your own interpretation of the information that you'll come out saying you believe or disbelieve in dinosaurs. In the Nation of Islam, we're more nuanced and more balanced because we're taught to study the sciences of life. So when we look at the scriptures of the Bible, we find that the Bible teaches us that there was some type of giant creature on earth whose tail was so huge and strong it could literally knock down trees. You know, the Holy Qur'an teaches us that Allah created man or humanity, and he created life forms before man or humanity. So when we look at the devil's theory on dinosaurs, and we take and investigate the science and the origin of that concept of a quote unquote dinosaur, we find that it was one European man. This European man invented the word dinosaur. He used the word dino to describe something that's scary, something that's terrible, something that's huge. And he called it a dino or large or terrible saurus, or a terrible lizard, or a large lizard, or a big giant reptile. That's what a dinosaur is. A dinosaur is nothing but a large reptile according to the man that came up with the theory or the concept or the name dinosaur. So we can't take his statement, dinosaur, and take it hook, line, and sink and just run off with it and say, oh, I believe in dinosaurs, 64 million years. You got to say, hold up. How do you know it was 64 million years ago? And what you'll find is that they have theories. And their theories, as the messenger said in 1972 in the Theology Time, they may or may not be true. But when you look at carbon dating and how the science go into carbon dating, you'll find that the scientists, I'm talking about white, black, brown, yellow, and red scientists, they do not consider carbon dating or taking and using modern day methodologies to try to calculate how old something is to be a science. They consider that to be the best available information that they have. And scientifically, there are instances recorded where they found that that science simply does not work or is not accurate. So you may have someone say, this piece of wood, we can see how long the carbon atoms decay, and it tells us that this piece of wood is 10,000 years old or 10 million years old. And you take that same piece of wood and give it to other scientists, and they give you totally different dates with margins in the thousands and the hundreds and the millions and billions of years. So we can't just assume that carbon dating is a factual or actual science, because it's not. So when they talk about certain things regarding these large reptiles, we take the position and condition that we don't know about that. The messenger said, and now Savior has arrived. He said in 1974, now says arrived. He said, belief and knowledge are different. He said, we can believe that there's an airplane out there on the doorstep. But once we open up that door and look, we then know whether or not there's an airplane out there on that doorstep. So when it comes to dinosaurs, we need to be humble enough to simply admit that there are countless things under the earth, on the earth, flying in the skies, outside of the earth that we don't know about. And this is the beauty of life itself. It puts us on the path of learning, of investigating, of being analytical and critical in our way of thinking. And this is how human beings learn. So our position is, if you're saying a dinosaur, what is your interpretation of that dinosaur? Because in 2017, we could take you into the ocean, and in the ocean, we can see living huge whales. They're under the waters right now. On the planet that we're on, you can go to India and you'll see Komodo dragons. These dinosaurs or these terrible lizards are alive in 2017. These are creatures that their saliva is like acid. They can eat a horse, but they're not ancient creatures. These are creatures that's alive on Earth today. The rhinoceros is still here. The giraffe is here. The elephant is still here. There are huge birds that fly in the air in 2017. So we don't take the position to say, oh, all of this stuff we see in the museum is a lie, or the devil just orchestrated some big hocus pocus and magic mythology. That's spooky too. I mean, no, there are ancient creatures that was on Earth that are no longer on Earth. But that is not the same as taking and finding through scientific methods of archaeology and geography and geology things on the planet and interpreting those things and giving factual dates to those things and placing names on them things and giving them colors and feathers and extrapolating all types of data from the little bit of information that you may have. Many scientists will tell you that a lot of these dinosaurs were not even physically large creatures. They were small as a basketball. So when it comes to the dinosaur, I would recommend to a person that they study the origin of the actual word dinosaur and look at when did the dinosaur come into our lexicon? When did these terrible lizards come into fruition as a concept? And all around the world, you do have ancient civilizations that teach all kinds of things. They have people that believe that there are dragons in antiquity. And when it comes to mythology, scientists realize that myths are actually rooted in real knowledge. But the actual knowledge usually gets lost as time moves on. And as the people move from place to place and try to translate that information from language to language and custom to custom and language to different ethnicities, these things cause the legend to grow and the mythology to spread until you get dragons, when they could just be talking about some huge creatures that was on earth, or they talking about some lizards that was on earth. And when we look at it, we see scientifically when there's volcanic activity on the planet Earth, that volcanic activity causes mutations. We can see the mutation. We can see a volcano erupt. And that eruption is way worse than all of the white man's nuclear bombs going off at one time. But a lot of people have a theory like the devil could destroy the world 1,000 times over with his nuclear bombs. That's like a little volcano going off. But that volcano going off, the effect of that radiation causes plants to mutate. It causes animals to mutate. We see this mutation come about through nature. So I would not be surprised to see that there are creatures that was on Earth and are no longer on Earth, nor would I be surprised that there are creatures on Earth today that we haven't even seen in this day and time. There's creatures deep in the waters, deep in the forest, creatures that we're unfamiliar with, that shy away from human civilization. But that does not mean that I believe in the devil's theory of dinosaurs. I believe that a lot of it is, you could say, guesswork. You know what I mean? A lot of it is based on other theories and people trying to fill in the gaps, because when they try to build that picture, when you don't have all the information, you have to extrapolate. You have to try to imagine, I mean, what was to better understand what is. But I would not waste my time arguing with someone that believes in dinosaurs against someone who doesn't believe in dinosaurs. I would simply look at the information from both sides and say, okay, on both sides, there are things that we know and there are things that we believe. And in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, like all other teachings, everyone on earth, whether they're a Christian, a Catholic, a Baptist, a Methodist, a Jehovah's Witness, a Sunni, a Shia, a member of the Nation of Islam, a 5%er, an atheist, everyone has a worldview. So at the end of the day, when you see and hear people disputing, what you see actually is people disputing their worldview. But when you understand your worldview, you realize that there are things in your worldview that you know, and there are things in your worldview that you believe in. And we, as scientists, should not confuse our theories with our facts, because that's where the confusion comes into play. When you hear us talk about things like the mother plane, things such as human civilization 76 trillion years ago, the grafting of the devil on the island of Pelan over 6,000 years ago, these things are based on our belief, and we're born in that belief, and we grow with our faith. and we develop the knowledge and the wisdom and the understanding. But those are stages of information. And in that study and in that path and in that course, we have to be careful, because what we're doing in the Nation of Islam and what the Christians and the Sunnis and the atheists and the Pan-Africans and so forth and so on are doing is will confuse or overlook what we know and what we believe and look at them as though they're the same. We have to admit there are things that we believe. So when we say something like 66 trillion years ago, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the moon was blasted away from the planet Earth. I personally believe that. I personally believe in the mother plane. I personally believe everything the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us. However, as a minister of the messenger's message, I can't take and use compulsion or force or technology to get you to believe as I believe. I have to state my belief and give you reason, give you facts, give you history, give you empirical evidence as to why I reached that level of conviction, that level of comprehension, that level of certainty, that level of what the Holy Quran calls haqq, or the truth. And when you look at the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and as a student and a minister, I looked at the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I personally have found in my mathematical deductions and conclusions that the messenger's message will guide me through this age of mess. Because many don't realize that the messenger teaches us mathematics, science, logic, history, nature. He gives us a worldview that literally the evidence supports. So when we say the moon was blasted away from the planet Earth, geologists, geography shows and proves that, well, whether the messenger teaches is true or not, we do see through the isotopes, through the study of the earth, that these grains of the earth, meaning that you have people that study rocks, geologists, they literally study the soil. And they can tell you that, listen, in our scientific study, we found that when we look at West Africa, the soil there matches the soil that you see along the Western Hemisphere, such as Brazil and South America, as we call it. And when we look at the planet and we look at the 7 continents, we see, a child could see, this looks like a broken puzzle, like these land masses used to be connected. Now, we can't factually say exactly when it broke up, why it broke up and all that, but the messenger tells us when. He tells us why. He tells us about a dissatisfied scientist, Granddaddy Shabazz, and how he did his mathematics to make the land break up. We see in 2017 the Ring of Fire. So we see around the Pacific Ocean, all of the volcanic activity just happened to be in that area. We see that moon bleach sitting away from the planet Earth today, 243,000 miles away from the planet Earth. We see that the Caucasian scientists did not go up there into the 60s. And when they got up there, 30 years after the messenger taught us about the science of this moon, that they took moon rocks and gave it to their top scientists on Earth. And these scientists that study the nature of rocks, they studied and they said, oh, these moon rocks, we don't know why, but they're lacking oxygen for some reason. And their study of the moon rocks is that these moon rocks match the rocks of the planet Earth. So the scientists, the astronomers came up with different theories how that could have been. And some of them came up with the concept that, well, maybe in the beginning of the time when the Earth was first forming, a piece of the Earth when it was all liquid molten, because their thing is when the sun was formed, a piece of the sun broke off and formed the Earth. And while the Earth was still hot and liquid, and iron and nickel, a piece of it broke off and formed our moon. Other scientists look at that theory and say, we don't know about that. The math really don't fit that. So they came up with a theory, and that theory was, well, maybe the earth formed, and when the earth formed, another piece of earth or a piece of rock or a meteor or another planet or something, maybe it bumped into the earth and broke off a piece of it and formed our moon. And there's other theories out there, such as some Caucasian scientists believe that maybe when the earth formed, for various reasons, stresses on the planet, that the magma that comes to the surface as hot lava, it got so intense that it blew up and blasted a piece of the earth away to form our moon. But all of these top scientists have a conclusion, and that conclusion is that that moon came from this planet that we call Earth. Years ago, about 10 or 20 years ago, I wrote a book called Shabazz, The Origin of Our Moons. And in that book, I detail all of the devil's major theories. And I go into the messenger's teachings and show you from the scriptures of the Bible and the Holy Qur'an how the messenger teachings are just scientifically sound. So when we look at the messenger's teachings, we look at the messenger's teachings from the position of science. We believe that God is a supreme scientist, that there are 24 scientists, 24 black men, 12 major and 12 minor, and that these 24 scientists, human beings just like you and I, they study or master different fields in life, different sciences, if you will, different observations. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us in Wisdom of the Conquerors that the first law of learning is observation. And through their observation and experimentation, they reach conclusions. Master Fard Muhammad was born in that cipher. He was born from that lineage. His father is the one that the messenger explained to us different sciences. And I seen a brother, and he had some good points, and he got a lot of negative flack from the Nation of Islam, but I don't really like criticizing our critics. I mean, because you can learn from some criticism. And he basically was going into, well, Master Fard Muhammad was a Hindu. His teachings is so interwoven with the teachings from ancient Pakistan and India and things of that nature there. And he had a valid point. I wish I was there to talk to him because he was a very intelligent brother, but he was not aware of something the messenger teaches us that would have solved that riddle for him. And basically, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that Master Fard Muhammad's father, before Master Fard Muhammad was born, his father gave birth to him as a thought. He willed that son into existence. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that when he produced the Savior, Master Fard Muhammad didn't have any magic in him. His father taught him. The messenger says in Al Sayers Arrived that the 24 scientists passed that knowledge down from son to son, and they've been doing that for over 66 trillion years. But they don't reveal their wisdom to other sons or to each other. And he teaches us that this scientist, his father, literally traveled all over the planet Earth, and he paid great sums of money to buy wisdom from wise people and ancient books from all over the planet Earth, and he brought it back and taught it to his son. So I wouldn't be surprised if Master Fard Muhammad's teachings have the teachings of ancient India or the Hindus. It has the teachings of ancient China, the teachings of ancient Africa, ancient Australia, ancient Europe, ancient North America, South America, Central America, because his father studied, the messenger said, the wisdom from around the world and paid them for the information and came back and to the secret vaults of Mecca and taught it to his son, and his son had access to ancient writings that we don't have access to this day and time. And Master Fard Muhammad learned from the 24 scientists. And when he came to the wilderness of North America, he enrolled in the Devil's College, such as UCLA in Los Angeles, California. So Master Fard Muhammad prepared himself, or he studied for 42 years. He didn't use the internet and Google and all that. He did the scholarly research. The messenger said he even went over to Africa and studied the language of the birds. So Master Fard Muhammad is a man just like we are men and women here on the face of the planet Earth. So we shouldn't be surprised at some of the things that you hear from the Nation of Islam. I remember coming across the ancient teachings on the mother plane. You know, and it's a lot of things with the mother plane, and me being a student follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings, I always try to share the original direct teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in a scholarly way, not where it's so intellectual that you can't comprehend it. I try to simplify complicated things and give it to you in layman's terms so that you can take it and not take my stuff hook, line, and sinker, but you can take that and use it as a premise. And once you take that as your premise, what happens is you become more analytical, more scientific in your research. You become more scholarly in your own research, and you take it to the next level. Because I can't take it to the maximum level, and you can't take it to the maximum level. We can only add on. As the messenger teaches us in the divine saying, he said that wisdom is independent of anyone. This is why we learn more and more. This is why we see more and more into the depths of things. He explained to us in 1972 in the Theology of Time, he said, we don't change Islam. He said it's like the moon. The moon, that new crescent represents the first quarter. He said, but the other phases of the moon means us going deeper into the study of Islam. So there's other levels to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You have the esoteric and exoteric. You have the inner and outer studies of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So when we study our lessons or our blessings, when we study the books, the writings, the examples, the mythology, the legacy of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we individually as well as collectively are studying ourselves. But we should do that study from the position and condition that in antiquity, we did not separate our spirituality from our science. It's spiritual science. They coexist. They're balanced. They complement each other. They don't contradict each other. It's not mumble jumble. The message teaches us in Islam, everything is real. The Holy Quran says to us in chapter 22, verse 6, Allahu ana al-haq. The God is the reality. So we deal with that which is real. But when we deal with that reality, that don't mean that what we believe in our baby level of understanding, we're going to remain at that level of understanding through our whole life. No, you got to read Message to the Black Man, Fall of America, I'll Say Is Around, Hadith to Live Book 1, Hadith to Live Book 2, the Supreme Wisdom Book 1, Supreme Wisdom, the Flag of Islam, the Muslim Delhi. And when you read them, you have to be humble enough and wise enough and mature enough in your studies to realize, I got to go back and read all that stuff again. I got to read that Bible. I got to read that Quran. I want to read all of the scholars. I want to read the Afrocentric scholars. I want to read the white scholars. I want to read everything. I want to learn as much as I can. You want to love learning. And when you get to the position where you feel as though no one can teach you anything, or you feel as though you can't learn, that lets you know right there that you done forgot. That lets you know right there you done made your mistake, because every good teacher is a greater student. So as a student follower of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings, I look at everything he teaches us from a scientific perspective. And I personally believe that the more we look at it as scientists, as well as students that are face to face with facts, face to face with faith, We have Iman and we have actual facts, but we're not confusing the two. We're saying, okay, well, this part here is so long ago, we don't have the science, if you will, to prove this. But we can take and look at the science that we do have available, the things we do know about, and say, well, what we do know does not contradict what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad revealed. And if there's anyone out there that think that science contradicts anything in the messenger teachings, you can email me at ministeralif@gmail.com. You can find my books at ElijahMuhammadOnly.com. You can take and send your questions, your comments, and your criticisms, and we'll respectfully try to share with you the in-depth, life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to show and prove to you that the messenger's message will guide you in this age of mess. Peace and blessings, family.